Pokemon Yellow, by today's standards, is quite dated. A lot of the mechanics have been built upon, it's already been remade for another generation, and it's limited in its gameplay mechanics and the lore of the series as a whole. But for me, Pokemon Yellow has a special place in my own heart. I was 4 years old when this game came out, on the 16th of June 2000, and I couldn't get enough of it. Okay, so that was the EU release date, and I'm aware it came out in 1998. I kinda don't care, sorry. This game holds a very special place in my heart, as not only was I obsessed with the game at the time it came out, but it was also the very first video game I ever played, and due to this, I still have an old copy of the game to this day. And for me, part of what makes this game special, to me at least, are the ways in which Yellow distinguishes itself from its counterparts, Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue. Satoshi Tajiri, the creator of the Pokemon series, was born and raised in Machida, Tokyo, which at the time of the 1960s was still relatively rural compared to other parts of Japan. And during Satoshi's childhood, he had an intense fondness for insect collecting, to the point that his childhood friends would give him the nickname Dr. Bug. As time went on, as Dr. Bug grew up, the home he grew up in became a very different place, becoming more modern and more urbanised. The insects that Satoshi would collect started to dwindle in number before they eventually vanished, leaving Satoshi with the burning desire to share his childhood passion, as the feeling of catching and collecting these insects was further lost to time. Satoshi, now a fully grown adult, wanted to share his childhood passion, but in a way that would be easily accessible for the children of the 1990s. Enter Red and Green. Wait, what? The original release of what we now know as Red and Blue was originally released as Red and Green in Japan, with the engine being updated in a Blue remake of these games. The upgraded versions were then released as the international versions of Red and Blue. People who were alive at the time could probably tell you that these games were phenoms of their time. I personally remember going into nursery and everybody had a Game Boy, which they would spend all their time playing these games on when they could. They were everywhere. Pokemon Fever had taken hold, and oh my god, it reminds me of Pokemon Go back in 2016! And it became that popular that it was adapted into an animated series, which was then in turn used to remake Red and Blue into what we now know today as Pokemon Yellow. This makes Pokemon Yellow an adaptation of an adaptation of an adaptation of an original idea. My head hurts. Because Yellow is a tie-in of the Pokemon TV series and not of the Red and Blue games, a lot of the mechanics change from Red and Blue to keep in line with the show, specifically those to do with the mascot of the show and the series as a whole, Pikachu. Pokemon Yellow starts off almost identical to Red and Blue. You wake up and Professor Oak asks if you're a boy. Sorry ladies. And then Professor Oak asks for both your name and the name of his grandson. Haha, dick. But as soon as you leave your house for the very first time, the game starts to distinguish itself in very subtle ways. For example, in the original games, Professor Oak stops you from going into the tall grass and takes you straight to his lab. But in Yellow, you end up in a Pokemon battle with a Pikachu. Oak takes you to his lab and you get to pick a Pokemon to start your journey. But in Yellow, you only get one option, and when you go to pick it, are you shitting me? You get given as the only option the Pikachu that was caught just earlier. This sets up an interesting dynamic where you and your starter Pokemon are forced to work together in your first battle, and while winning is nothing special, if you lose, I want to draw your attention to Pikachu's reaction. This is huge. This makes this specific Pokemon unique. This mechanic is special. Usually, in most Pokemon games, when you catch a Pokemon,
It just sits there, in your party, just sitting there until it's called upon. But with this Pikachu, with the new emotion system, in addition to, at the time, the revolutionary new mechanic of Pikachu following you around, instills your starter Pokemon with more vibrancy and personality that all the other Pokemon in the game lack. Not only was it mind-blowing to 4-year-old me, but it was also a little profound. Now, Pokemon Yellow has a lot in common with the original anime, as the game was an adaptation of the animated series. Ash doesn't get the option to choose his Pikachu. Ash's Pikachu follows him around, and Ash's Pikachu has an expressive personality. This is very similar to what happens in Yellow. However, the difference is that Ash's Pikachu belongs to Ash. You're watching Ash and his Pikachu develop and grow together, seeing their bond form. But in Yellow, the Pikachu isn't Ash's. It isn't anyone else's. It's yours. It's your Pikachu. It's your friend. He's yours, nobody else's. Just yours. To grow together and experience the game together with. To do whatever you want with. Wait, what are you doing? No, don't you dare put him in that PC box! This was, for a 4-year-old, profound to say the least. This Pikachu wasn't just a sprite in the game, but it was alive. Pikachu was your friend. And you could see its reaction to things, from seeing Bill for the first time, or meeting another Pikachu in Fuchsia City, to refusing to evolve when you give it a Thunderstone. You can see its personality shine through. Similar events that happen in the show also happen in the game. You encounter Team Rocket, you can get Bulbasaur, Charmander and Squirtle. But because the story of Yellow follows that of Red and Blue, and not the show, it means that you're not following Ash's story, you're following your own. And that, in its own weird way, spoke to me. My childhood experience of Pokemon Yellow was that of me and my cousin, who is a year older than me, playing this game for hours at a time, trying to figure out how to beat Brock, the first gym leader. We weren't very smart, and the internet wasn't sophisticated enough to find guides at the time. Also, Nidoran, level 12, spam double kick. You're welcome. After we overcame that struggle, we built our team together. We trained them together. We didn't get further than Blaine, as by the time we got that far, after months of struggling, a new Pokemon game came out, and then a few years later, another game came out. This didn't just happen with me and my cousin, but with me and my friends at the time, as we played these games together, helping each other learn and grow into more intelligent gamers, building some life skills that we still use today. While we abandoned Yellow, we didn't abandon the lessons that we, as children, learned from that original experience with Yellow, and the games that were to follow. The value of teamwork, tactics, how to push forward and find solutions to problems. These were all lessons that had been learned by us as children, as well as the friendships that we would build together. We took those lessons forward with us to new challenges in our lives. There's a weird thing in a person's life where something happens to them, and it's something that every human being, if they survive long enough, will have happen to them. They grow up. As a result of people aging and maturing, their interests develop and change over time. People drift apart, they take different life paths. My cousin has his own family now, and my friends of that era have all moved on with their lives. New Pokemon games come out, people outgrow the series. I personally got to Diamond before leaving the series behind. But the feeling I got from Yellow, from having that Pikachu as my very first Pokemon, that will always stay. To the point that whenever I have the option, I pick Pikachu as my starter Pokemon every time I start a new game. I always get that sense of nostalgia when playing Yellow. It's one of those games that, for me, I can never really ever forget. The Pokemon franchise is now this huge juggernaut compared to what it was 2 decades ago. There's multiple spin-offs, fan conventions, and even fan-made, community-driven Pokemon games that have been made over the course of those years. But for me, Pokemon Yellow will always have a special place in my life, with those memories this game gave us, with the blissful times that it helped in my childhood, which it did not only for me, but the millions of children of that generation. And for us, that was the impact of Pokemon Yellow. That was a nostalgia one, wasn't it? If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. It really helps me out in the algorithm and helps you to keep up to date with my content. If you like to keep up to date with me between YouTube videos, you can also follow me at Twitter on Oh No It's Justin too. I hope to see you soon. Thank you.